Everyone says you have to pick this coding assistant like GPT-5 or Claude Code or Cursor or whatever, and no one really says that you can use all of them together. And in today's live stream, we're gonna get really drippy today, and we're gonna look just like this. I have this project, and this is from my boy Ras Micky, aka Mickey on Twitter, and he built this awesome app using Convex called DripMeOut. And so you can actually prompt, like just upload a photo with your face and you'll get this really awesome bust out photo here. And so this project is currently available in GitHub, and this is the actual project. So we just turn on the webcam and then we take a picture of our face, and then boom, it'll just add a chain to it. So people have been putting pictures of themselves, other pictures of other people, and you can actually see this is the project that we're going to go ahead and like build live. And I want to walk you through a little bit of my workflow because it's really important to kind of see how we get this project set up. So if you're kind of new to coding or vibe coding, I'm going to kind of walk you through the steps so that we can clone the repo, like show you how I fork it. And we're going to do some other things like set up the actual Cursor rules. And then I'm going to also set up the Claude rules and also set up the stuff with GPT-5 Codex, because I have all these different plans and I kind of use them all together and work in symphony. So we're going to be covering a lot of different things here as far as like that type of thing. If you're tuning in live right now, you're going to be able to kind of interact with me. I have the links in the description in the YouTube video if you're watching for that. And of course, this whole thing is actually powered by Ray Transcribes. So this is something that I made because I've discovered that in my live streams, you can actually get found like the big channels. And I'll cover a little bit more like that today, but Ray Transcribes, my app, is going to be able to make some of these timestamps available. I have something that's available, but right now, let's go ahead and see if we can get back into the project. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do here is make sure you have Cursor loaded up. If you don't have that loaded up, just go to cursor.com and go ahead and download this here to get started. And then once you get that downloaded and installed, you're going to go to this project called DripMeOut. And so I'm going to have a link available so that you can put this and download it for yourself. Let me see, dub.sh, and I think it's called Drippy. Did I call it? No, I called it DripRas. I'm going to put this right now in the chat so y'all can have this available in the chat and have it up there as well. I lost my chat, but I'm going to go ahead and see if I can try to find it because I want to make sure I can slide the comments up onto the screen and so forth. And that's how I usually do that stuff there. And so I put that available. I have that link. It's called rfer.me/dripras, and you'll be able to get to this repo here. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is once you get to this repo, this has Convex set up. So if you haven't set up an account on Convex, just go to convex.dev, and that's where you're going to go ahead and just get set up. All you need to do is log in with your GitHub or log in with your Google account, and that's how you'll get kind of started there. And once you go ahead and do that, you'll be pretty much almost ready to go. The other thing we're going to need is a Google account. So if you just go to Google, aistudio.google.com, that's where you're going to go ahead and create that account there. If you already have a Google account, you're pretty much in. We're going to need this API key so that we can go ahead and hook this up with our actual website. And that's pretty much, I think, the main things that we need right now. So the first thing that I usually do is go ahead and hit the fork. So the fork repo will basically allow us to fork this repo and put it into our own type of thing. That way we don't check in the code into Michael's repo, and then we can kind of, start to go off and do our own thing and add our own features. So once we fork the repo here, this will do its thing. And let's just go ahead and see once we get set up. Okay, perfect. So now this is available. And now if I go to hit where it says code, I'm going to have my own URL so that we can go ahead and clone this down. And so what I do is hit this little copy clipboard button here. And then inside of Cursor, I'm going to just kind of change my view here. In Cursor, we'll have a thing that says clone repo. If you click this clone repo button, it's going to say clone from GitHub, and you like select that one. And then all you do now is just paste this URL in and hit enter. And then it's basically just going to grab the repo. In my type of thing, I like to put mine into workspace. So workspace, I have a Ray workspace. So this is where all of my apps get cloned to. And I say select repository as a destination. And so basically what it's going to do, would you like to open the clone repository? We're like, yes. And so Cursor will automatically open this up, and we're basically right inside. And so now we're actually inside of our whole repo, and we're almost ready to go. So the next thing that we're going to go ahead and do is I have a package manager called Bun, and I really like Bun for the install because Bun just allows you to move really, really quickly. I know Michael has a thing called NPM, but I prefer Bun, so we're just going to use that. So I think what I'm going to go ahead and do here is just going to do Bun install, and that's pretty much going to install all the packages for us. As you can see, it installs it extremely fast because Bun is just an amazing package manager. And that's kind of why I prefer to use it. So it has a bunlock file and everything here. And then, yeah, I think we're pretty much almost ready to go. So the other thing that we want to go ahead and do, if you already have a Convex account, is we're going to connect this to Convex. And so we're just going to do bunx convex dev. And so what that will do is now we're just going to walk through the configuration for creating a new project. Yes. And we're just going to, it already has the name filled out there. It says DripMeOut. And then we're going to do cloud deployment. So it's already going to give a cloud deployment. And what's nice about this is it's going to generate a URL and get our database and everything all set up. And now it says our Convex functions are currently ready. So what it did is it created a .env local file, which you can see right here. And it created and it added these two specific parameters that we need in there for our stuff to work. So after that, we got going. We're going to go ahead and hit a new terminal. We can split the terminal by hitting I do the command little slash window, which is kind of cool. But then that could just run bun dev. And if I do that, it should basically pop us up with the localhost 3000 thing. And so what I want to go ahead and do is just kind of come back here, localhost 3000, and then we should basically already, be up and running with our little thing here. And so this is our version of the app. It's currently running locally, but it's not going to generate any images or anything like that because we have the database hooked up, but we don't have an environment variable for Google. And so if I hit start camera, what's going to do is going to go ahead and hit allow. And you can actually see me. I think it's using this camera right here. So yeah, this camera right here is the one that's currently live. It's kind of weird because I'm looking at you, but it's looking at the camera that's actually live right here that is doing us live. So if I hit capture photo, that's what's going to basically get sent up. And it says your image generation has started. So this basically got sent up to the Convex database. And if I go to DripMeOut, we should be able to see our, I think it's just development. Here we go, data. And in here, we actually see the actual request that got sent up. And he's keeping track of that. And that's actually the file that got uploaded there. And we could even see in the log what got scheduled. And it says there's an error because the Google Gemini API key and this was not set. So in order for us to get that key, what we're going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to go ahead and copy that error message. So that error message has this Gemini API key. So this is the key that we need. So it's Google Gen AI API key. In the actual documentation, I'm going to show you real quickly what this looks like. In the DripMeOut thing, he actually says, we'll need an API key, and it says Gemini API key. So this is the key that we need. So this is the key that we're going to go ahead and put into the Convex database because Convex requires this for this function call to actually work. And so to do that, we're just going to go where it says settings. Sorry, I was kind of in the way. Oh, I know what's going on. My camera's a little bit messed up because of this DripMeOut thing. So stop camera. Okay, cool. I think, did I fix myself? Yeah, maybe not. That's okay. I'll fix that later. Anyways, in here, in Convex, we're going to go into Convex. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do is go to environment variables. And then environment variables, we're going to go ahead and add. So we have the Gemini API key. Now we need to get the actual API key itself. So that's going to be happening at aistudio.google.com. And in here is, there's at the very bottom, it says get API key. So in there, that's basically where I'm going to hit that button right now. And it's going to show me some information about, what this kind of looks like for getting an API key. So I could show you a little bit of what this kind of looks like right now. I just wanted to make sure that everything was okay. And then where it says create API key. So it's going to, if you haven't tied it to an account for billing, you're going to want to go ahead and do that. If you don't have an account for billing, like the free tier, you're going to be rate limited. So in the Google, I think it's Gemini Flash Lite model, live API. One of these is a Flash image generation. So you're in the free account. If you don't have like a credit card tied to this, you're only going to get like 10 requests per minute. Or about 200,000 tokens per minute. So I don't know exactly what a token means for the image and kind of what that means. I think maybe it's just the prompt, but will be interesting. But if you do have a credit card tied to, which I do right now, there's actually one that says it's going to tell me my image generation. I get 1,000 requests per minute, which is pretty awesome, and up to 1 million tokens per second. So that's pretty cool. Just a FYI. And so what we're going to go ahead and do is hit create API key. And I'm going to try to blur this out. I might leak the key, but I'll definitely see if I can get it set up again. So create API key in existing project. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then it's going to show us a little bit more. And so while I go ahead and do that, get that set up, I want you to see if you can You're probably following along coding with this. If you're not, you can hit pause. I'm going to have the timestamp markers in this whole live stream. So if you missed this, or if you're watching on X, or if you're watching on Twitch, you can come over to YouTube later on and kind of go back. While you're watching on YouTube live, you can actually rewind the stream, by the way, or pause it, and the stream will just keep going. So that way you can kind of follow along with the stream. And so one of the things that I wanted to quickly get set up here is I wanted to see if I can find the comments, because I do want to see all my different comments and various things here. So please mind with me while we do this. Okay, here we go. I found it. Mike, how's it going? Thank you so much for joining in. I'm so glad I was able to pull this up. If you're trying to get that repo, by the way, it's the link here. So it's rfer.me/DRIPRAS. So that's DripRas, like drippy. And so huge shout out to Rodrigo. Thank you for tuning into the stream. Hold up, was the database already built or was it made on the spot? So the database was already set up through Convex. So he didn't actually make the database, and I'll actually talk to you a little bit more about what this means, because the database is all TypeScript code in the actual repo. So when you pull down that repo, all of the database information is all written in TypeScript, which is kind of why I love using Convex. AI models know how to talk to Convex databases because of it just being already in TypeScript. And then all the tooling and everything is there. So the setup is really that fast. We just run that command and it basically pushes the code up to your own, version of Convex. And then it'll initiate and do all the different migrations and things you need to do, which is really, really awesome. And you don't have to add a bunch of extra boilerplate. I know this isn't like a commercial for Convex, but I love that database so much. And I'm actually looking to see if I can partner with them. So more information on that soon. I got to meet the folks and they got me this really cool Convex glass that I'm drinking out of and stuff like that. So it looks like Coca-Cola, but it actually says Convex. So good. So yeah, more on that a little bit later. Cool. Maybe I will try with Fal AI, because Fal AI has many image gen models that you can mess around with. Yes. And so this code will have everything in there. We'll kind of go over that a little bit as well. And so, yeah, thank you everyone who's been able to pop in on the chats and stuff and kind of drop some comments. Let's get back into the mix here and get going. So now we have the API key in here. And if we go back to our local host, basically, theoretically, I should be able to start the camera again and just kind of get dripped out. Let's see. All right, here we go. So if I do this, it's going to start the image gen, and then probably in a couple seconds, we should probably see it pop up. So this is currently running on localhost here, and here we are. That's awesome. So yeah, just like that, we're basically already up and running. So we were able to clone the repo down, and we're already leveraging all the code that Micky did for this actual repo. And we just put the key in there inside of Convex, and boom, we got it working. So now I got to go hold, Dookie gold chain. And I got the Google image model is ridiculous, by the way. This is uber ridiculous. So there are a couple of bugs here, and I don't know if you've seen this right now. So one is that we can't select the actual camera. I'm a crazy live streamer and I got lots of cameras going on right now, right? So I have this camera, and then I got like this camera right here, and I got my laptop camera, and then my phone could be a camera. I mean, I got cameras on cameras on cameras. And so I think it'd be really cool if we can add a drop down to figure out, what cameras that we can select as well. And it'd be really cool if we can kind of do some other things. Like right now, I can't even share the image with my friends because I would love to just give a link and share it with my friends. And then, obviously we also want to deploy this as well. So this is just kind of us getting started for us to a primer of like the really good starter project to play with Convex, and the fact that you can even change the providers and stuff on the back end as well. So just the FYI, that's kind of where we're at right now. And so in order to kind of get going on some of these things, what we're going to go ahead and do is, I don't know about you, but I actually have like, I have a lot of other stuff configured. So here's Convex, and let me just kind of walk you through a little bit of this and kind of what this looks like. I'm going to see if I can kill my camera because, can I just refresh it? Okay. So I think my camera angle for my thing got messed up a little bit. But let me just reconnect the webcam so that way it just doesn't look funny. And then we'll try again. So you may see me kind of come in and out of the stream here, and just going to get this reconnected again, just so we can fix a couple of bugs, but also I can have the better camera experience here. So yeah, now basically I'm all set up with my camera in really good quality here and so forth. So all right, fam. So the thing that I was looking to do here is actually initialize some of the code. So this is basically the Convex database stuff that I was talking about. And then there's like a schema file, which you can define, and you don't really have to define too well, but it kind of does its own thing. He just defined a table that shows the body and whatever's image is generated here. Here's the actual HTTPS requests. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of get rid of some of these here. And so in this code here, what he has going on, he basically has a /send image route, which is kind of what the front end is going to call. And this is what the front end will call for, generating the code that we need to actually make the request to Google. And so in here, in the send image, it looks like it creates like a HTTP action, and that stores the file, saves the storage ID to the database via mutation. This is my first time looking over the code, so we're kind of reviewing this together, and then return a response with the correct course headers. So that's pretty cool. So this is already configured and ready to go. And then this is the generate TS. So it's a TypeScript file, right? And then one of the things that I like to do is you can see like how the code is written, right? With these little functions. So a lot of times I can just hold Option. If you click Option and click one of these little arrows, what it would do is actually compresses the code down so that you can kind of start to review and read it. Sometimes when you have so much code, it's just really hard to review it all. But I like to look at code at the very beginning just as a function level type of thing. And so functions really do tell you a lot because the way that the code is written. So we can tell in this specific generate file, we have base to 64, we have an update image status, save generated image, and then scheduled image generation and generate image as well. So if we do like this function, you can probably already tell and guess what it does just by reading it. Kind of nice, right? So update image status. So this is going to be generating that. And then this is going to be schedule the image generation. So this looks really interesting here. And then we can see that there's an arguments and there's a handler. So what arguments is he passing in? He's just passing in a storage ID. And then this is the handler thing that he's doing. The reason kind of why I would encourage you to maybe start approaching code this way, even though you've been vibe coding, maybe you don't know how to read, I think this will just unlock a really big thing in your mind because it's the code is described in this simple way, but it'll get you thinking about how the code should be structured. So when you want to fix a bug, you'll probably know where to look, right? You want to look at these functions because they describe them a little bit better. So before maybe you make a request, you can even have a conversation with Claude Sonnet or GPT-5 and say, hey, what function is involved here to make this image generate, right? And it can actually step you through that process. So the more you read it and review it, the better you're going to be at like vibe coding in general. And that's why senior developers like love to vibe code because they already know what to do, right? They're just like, yay, someone's going to write the code for me. I just can be an orchestrator. So that's kind of like a quick heads up on kind of what that looks like and what it's looking like with what he did with this type of code here. So that's basically here. And then the generated stuff is what automatically gets generated with their cool tool when you run bunx convex dev. And so you don't really have to worry too much about what's in there. And then the image.ts is kind of showing us the code that's here. So again, we're going to go to the function level. It won't show up unless you put your mouse right into this area and you see these little arrows, right? So each arrow will show you a hierarchy, and I hit Option and then click it. And then we can see this only really has like 3 big functions that we should probably care about: generate upload URL, send image, and get images. And so these are the concerns that are currently inside of the images TS. So when it sends the image, we can see what arguments he's passing in. The storage ID, is it generated, and whatever's here. And then this is the handler for what he's doing. So you could just keep stepping down into the code. You can kind of see what's going on. If you like Option click, you'll then click into different parts of the code. And this can actually show you if you just hover over kind of what's being passed in. So this is kind of what it's doing to get the images with URLs and so forth. And so, yeah, so you see how much more readable the code is when you start to do this little technique. But that's kind of one of my favorite techniques here. So if you haven't set up Codex, this is a really cool thing that OpenAI provides. And so this is similar to Claude Code, and it's similar to actually having your own editor inside of, it's an agent in here. So OpenAI now has a thing called Codex, and you can actually get this plugin now in the store. So if you go to the marketplace and type in Codex, you should now see the ChatGPT OpenAI one, and that's the official OpenAI Codex, which will install this little plugin right here. And this little plugin for me lives right up here on the left side. And so this will allow you to actually use it locally, or you can run it on the cloud. And you could even switch back and forth between them, which is really, really cool. And if you are hitting limits on Claude Code and you're like maxed out on Cursor and you spent a lot of money, but you have a ChatGPT account, this is probably a good way to do it. I know a lot of people are paying $20 a month, and this is a really good way to kind of get into that. So the options you care about should be there. You can switch from agent mode to chat mode or full access to just, YOLO things. And then for reasoning effort, you can set from medium to low and so forth. And you may be surprised, but I actually set I'm going to set my medium reasoning effort to low, and I'll show you why in a little bit. So the one thing that we want to go ahead and do is I want to go ahead and open Claude Code really quick. So this is kind of how we need to do a couple of things. One, we need to set up our rules files. So we want to set up our cursor rules files, and we want to set up our Claude Code.md files so that whenever we're working with any of these agents, they'll know what to do with our code. Now that we have Convex set up, we have some of the extra things already configured. I think this is a really good time to have these agents set up. And then the third thing we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to show you a special command with Cursor's agent so it can read through those rules files and then set up specific rules that are very separate for Cursor, so you can kind of keep your context light, but also be a very powerful agent with multiple steps and so forth. So yeah, there's a lot of agents set up and a little bit of bootstrapping we're going to do, but I think it's going to really pay off. And you can kind of see how I set up some of these rules files. It seems really epic at the very beginning, but it's going to get a lot better as we go on. And so once we start to kind of get this base set up, this is usually where you start flying right afterwards. So the hardest part is kind of I would say the hardest part, but this is kind of the part that's probably the most important, because everything is the pyramid here that we'll use as a base and keep building from there. So in here, I'm just going to use /init to initialize the repo, and it's going to go ahead and start doing its initialization phase. And while it's doing that, let me just kind of catch up with the chat a little bit. Nice. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and run the bash command, please. Hi, how's it going? How is Convex with complex project? Dude, Convex is the best. You're going to have lots of files and things. And when you say complex, would just love to know what your specs are so we can kind of have a better understanding. Would you be willing to share your cursor rules with us? Of course. I actually have it in my repo. So if you just go to my GitHub, so in my GitHub, GitHub/Ray Fernando 1337. And in here, I actually have a thing called LLM rules. And so these are a lot of my cursor rules that I basically end up dumping in there. And when you check that out, in here, you'll see, I'm just going to put this into the chat so that way you can try to download it. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but I think on X, it doesn't do the chat thing, but you'll be able to kind of see this here. So that's just, if you go to my GitHub, this is where you'll see the rules files. I have things in here that are pretty fire, and they may even need to be updated, but Next.js 14, now there's 15. But there's some really good stuff like productivity. I have one for marketing as well. You can see my landing page and how I do landing page stuff. And if I'm wanting to set up some automation, by the way, and I think I'm going to try to see if I can set up a workshop. Let me know if you're interested. Just drop a comment below, because I'm thinking about, I'm going to Hawaii September 1st, and I'll have a bunch of time to hang out with folks. And I might do a weekend workshop where we just do prompt authoring, just literally prompting, how to get really good at prompting. You can kind of understand how to write better rules, probably how to use Claude Code a lot better. How to do this how to basically make AI more powerful so it can kind of automate other tasks, because I use it for a lot of things, generating titles and everything. And I think if you understand how to talk to AIs to generate prompts, those are going to be the basis for making really great apps. And so if you're interested, just drop the comment below. Obviously, slash the thumbs up. But I want to know how many people are interested. I should probably just vibe code a email waitlist right now. But this is really off the top because I've seen so many people ask me about this LLM rules. And I feel I think this is needed. But this would be a hands-on session. And it would be really cool for all of us to do this. And so I might start with my Discord first. So people who are currently signed up for the Discord, I'm going to make a little announcement in my Discord, and that way we'll kind of get together and do some hands-on prompting, and that'll help inform the feedback for that. So if you haven't had a chance, there is a Discord link below rfer.me/Discord, and that'll get you into the Discord. Yes, go to /rfer.me/Discord. And so that will get you into the Discord. It's currently $14.99. We've already had our first 100 members, and then once we reach our 200 members, that $14.99 is going to double to $30 a month. Super duper cheap to join an amazing community of folks who are cooking. A lot of people are cooking in there, and I definitely appreciate all the members who've been chilling with us. So that's what's up. All right, cool, fam. So now we talked about cursor rules. We got those things, and hopefully it's done. Okay. So yes, npx convex help. Okay, what is it doing now? So I'm initializing this project, and I think it's just going through and reading all my different files. And so I have a status line set up and it's the lock-in bro. So I don't know if you know this, but like I have a whole app called lock-in bro, .vercel.app. So I don't know if you know this, but this is the great lock-in of 2025. And we have to lock in for the rest of our years because we only got September, October, November, and December. You have enough time to make things happen. Yes, that's right. So this is like my motivation that like I made because yeah, this is like literally like a calendar that is lockinbro.vercel.app. And so I vibe coded this in V0 like in like, I don't know, 2 seconds. And I think this is kind of genius, low key. But it's really important that we got to lock in and get our stuff done. So I want to go ahead and write these changes and make sure that our file's looking pretty good here. So I'm going to go back to our files and we're going to go ahead and take a look and see what's our Claude Code looking at. So one of the things that I like to do is I like to use bun for my stuff and not npx. And I think what happened is that it reads the package-lock JSON file. And that's kind of why it's like, hey, this is what we're doing here. And so what I like to do for my instructions, and this is kind of why I wanted to make this live stream so you can actually see me generate these rules files live. And you could kind of see how I do this workflow. So in Claude Code right now, because I'm using Opus and I have my focus mode activated, right? we're going to lock in right now. Let's go. All right. So this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, I like to use bun for my package manager. And instead of npx, I use bunx. I think this is, okay, bun space x. Instead of npx, I use bunx. And then as far as like deploying, so I don't like to deploy using that command for Convex because that deploys it to production and I don't ever want to deploy to production. The only thing that we want to do is just run our bunx convex dev command. And so what I like to do here is I put these little backticks and you can kind of see I'm editing this file. This is bunx convex dev. And so I put the backticks on there so it knows that that's basically a command that I'm trying to run. So I use bunx, okay. I think I'm going to use bunx dev command. And then one of the new things that I found out that Claude Code does, it can run a background task. And so a background task is something that an agent can kick off in the middle of generating code. And you can say, I want to run this command that will always be available in the background. So Convex has that command bunx convex dev, and that's always listening for changes in the Convex files. So that whenever there's changes there, it'll make the changes in the files and send it up. And if there's any type errors, it will throw the error. And then usually I'm copying and pasting that back into Claude Code. But we don't do that around here, man. We're not cavemen. Like we have AI coding for us. It's all vibes. So I'm going to tell Claude Code that you have this ability to do this, and you should run whenever you're touching any files in the Convex folder to make sure that you run this background task, which is bunx convex dev for that type of thing. So I'm going to just go ahead and see that here. The only thing, okay, cool. I also want you to run a background task if you're in the, I'm going to say at convex. Sorry. So, and then hit tab. So what I'm telling Claude Code to do is like, hey, whenever you're in this directory, I also want you to run back if you're in the convex dev. And if you make changes in the convex folder, kick off a bunx convex dev and listen for type, for errors and make sure we are able to run the server. Run things. Make sure to listen for errors. Okay, I think that's a good start. So we told it about that, and I'm going to just kind of check some other things here that it got generated. Cool. Yeah, this is a good thing. Let it go there. Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, GPT-5. Yes, GPT-5, more on that soon. I'm going to show you how we're going to use GPT-5 to actually fix the bug that we have, which is basically how we have like more than a couple files, or in the webcam, we can't select the webcam. So whatever the default webcam is selected is kind of what's showing up there. Can you increase the font a little bit? Yes, I'll do that. I realized that I'm actually running 1080p because if I have to multi-stream, it doesn't let me stream in 4K, unfortunately. So yeah, hopefully this font size increase will be a little bit more legible for y'all. But let me know if not, then I'll try it again to increase it. Thank you for the heads up on that. I really appreciate it. Really need to set up a VAD, video on demand. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. What did Claude Code do? Okay, so Claude Code made some changes here, and I'm going to go ahead and try to update this here and see what we're cooking with. So Claude said, it says, okay, made the Bunx stuff and then make changes to Convex, always run Bunx in the background to watch for errors. Okay, cool. So now we have that there. And what I like to do always is to check in my code. I hit the generate commit message up here and I hit commit. And so what that's going to allow us to do in Cursor is that this checks in my changes to my little local repo, the one that's why we fork it. And so that way I have this stuff saved here. And so now that we have that there, I want to, okay, cool. So one of the things that we want to do next is in Convex, in order for us to get really good code, there is this thing that they have called the AI rules. So Convex has their own version of AI rules, which will help the AI language model write better Convex code. Because one of the advantages of what Convex does is it's like not only is the data stored on the back end, but you can query it from the front end. And what that does is like you don't have to write this extra code for it. And so Next.js has a lot of caching and validation. And sometimes if you want to do clever things for what Convex does, you have to set up WebSockets and do all this really crazy stuff. But Convex has that already built in. So we don't have to write all that extra code. So these rules will help it so that it sticks to its conventions and kind of reminds it of these types of things. And so what I found is I could show you a little bit of what kind of that looks like in our app. So when we go to Safari, one of the things that we do is going to go Convex AI rules. And if we Google search this, we're going to go into here for the code generation. And in here, it'll say AI generation most effective when you use these rules. And so we're just going to download the ones for Cursor. So when you download this one, basically it says Cursor rules right here. So we're going to go ahead and click that. And we have to make sure that .cursor rules folder is set up. So and since we're going to be using Cursor agent, we want to make sure we set that up. And I'll show you how to do that real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this directory .cursor/rules. And what I like to do is just hit this little, I like to do it in terminal because I'm just kind of a terminal person. All right, so Command C, and then I'm just going to do touch, actually mkdir -p/cursor rules. So the -p will say if this folder already exists, then it's not going to override or create that there. So we're going to do that. And so now we see this .cursor rules thing up here. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is once we have done that already, we're going to go ahead and download this file. So this is the Cursor Convex rules MDC file. So once you download this, you'll see it kind of downloading. I have downloaded it apparently 3 times. And so I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get that for us there. And then we're going to go ahead and put that in here. So I'm going to drag this file up in here and boom. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to just rename this one here, rename and rename. Cool. All right. So now we have our Convex rules file. And so just going to hit Command J to kind of minimize this. So this Convex rules file describes everything that I was saying for what Convex does. And so now that we have that set up there, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to point Claude Code into do some research for us because Claude Code can actually take some examples from the web and can take some of this information about how it can write rules files for itself. And then we can give it the Convex rules and say, whenever we're working with Convex, there's certain conventions that Convex uses. So I want to make sure you can read these rules files. And then we're going to tell it ultra think so they can kind of use an extended thinking window for accuracy. And then we're going to have, Claude Code basically write its own rules files. These rules files are really important so that it can kind of go with and put itself in different places. One of the advantages of what Claude Code does is the fact that you can actually have rules files in different parts of your folders. So you can have one in your app folder, you can have one in Convex rules, and those rules can be much lighter weight. And you can have a centralized rule file. So Claude.md in your regular root of your directory can actually have what they call imports. So the imports will be at the very top and saying, if you're referencing anything in the app layer, make sure you check this Claude Code rule. If you're checking anything else in the Convex database, make sure you check this one. So that way your main Claude Code.md file doesn't grow too large, and you'll keep your context window light and fresh, and you won't introduce any context rot. And so the imports at the top will then be little anchors for the AI agent to go start to reach into these different directories and then read those rules files accordingly whenever you need them. So it's a really interesting technique, and I'm kind of going to see if I can kind of show you what that looks like here and how we can architect that for us. So let's go ahead and kind of get cooking on some of these rules. I also have to go to the bathroom, which kind of sucks. And I want to make sure that we get that going here. So what I want to go ahead and do is, cool. So Convex, or so I'm going to go to Claude.md, Claude Code, Claude.md. Okay. So best practices for agentic coding and then common workflows. Okay. So this website here, I'm going to put this in the chat as well. And so I want to give it this website because this talks about the best practices that this is directly from Claude itself. And so I want to make sure that we can kind of reference that. And then this is like common workflows that are used for Claude Code. So I want to give it some of that. And then the other thing I want to give it is maybe, I think there's another Claude. Is it memory? Claude.md. Okay. I think there's also one called Claude.md. Okay, managing Claude's memory. Okay, cool. So now I'll give it like a couple different things. So this is memory management for Claude as well. Perfect. Yes, and this is kind of how that works. All right. Okay, so this is what we're going to go ahead and do now. So in here, I'm going to say Convex has a very special way for working with our Next.js project, and a lot of the conventions and rules are actually defined here. And then I'm just going to drag the file over, and in Cursor, you just hold Shift and you let go, and it's going to give us the full file path. And then the next thing we're going to go ahead and do here is a very special way. There's a lot of conventions actually defined here. I'm wanting to see if we can update the Claude.md rules files and add them to different directories, especially if we're dealing with Convex specific things. But there's also other app specific things and other things in our repo that we're dealing with. And so here is some research that I'm going to need you to ultra think so that we can make these new Claude.md rules files for the given areas. Okay. And so this is basically what it's doing. Claude.md, perfect. Wow, dang. And so another thing that Whisperflow does is whenever you mention something and it's actually in your actual app, Whisperflow will pick that up and actually write that file the way that it is, which is super duper awesome. And I have a referral code, by the way, which will get you a free month for Whisperflow, and it actually helps support the channel. And I actually have an affiliate link, which is super awesome. So I just got my first affiliate link, which is really cool. I guess I'm actually turning into an actual influencer. But I actually like helping people, which is really awesome. So yeah, this is the rfer.me/whisper. And that way you can sign up and get that whole thing. I mean, it's the best. Like you'll see me use it all the time. All right, cool. So we're given areas, and then ultrathink is one word. So I'm going to go back to where it says ultrathink and make sure that's one word there. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste in, here are the URLs you'll have to look up on the web. And then let's see, I'm just going to go ahead and make sure we paste them in. So I'm going to paste in a couple of these guys. So this is the first one, the Claude Code best practices, hit space. And then we're going to paste in this other one here from Docs Anthropic, hit space. And then we're going to hit this other one over here. And then we're also going to hit the space there. Okay, cool. So now that we got that going, I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And so because we're still in the same chat, it's going to go ahead and do its thinking here. I have to use the bathroom really, really bad. I'm going to let this go and I'll be right back. So if anyone comes into the chat, make sure you kind of let them know, like, we're still cooking. We're watching this thing going, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back. Okay. Thank you. I told you. Whew. Okay, let's get the camera adjusted. Hopefully it comes back here. Okay. Of course, I should have probably said yes. Okay, yes. Don't ask me again for anthropic.com. Okay, great. Whew. All right, we made it, fam. We good. So let's see what's going on here. Yo, what's up? What's going on, Yaya? Yeah, we got a cool app that you got to check out from Yaya. I'll have to cover that in a little bit as well. Opus 4.1 and Claude Code. Yes, for sure. Okay, cool. Okay, so what's the right mental model when to use Codex versus Claude Code? And how do you decide between them and combine them? So right now, kind of the feeling I get is like Opus, I use for a lot of planning sometimes. If like I'm going to try to dump a big feature, or I'm not really sure how to do things. GPT-5 is so damn literal that it will follow even bad instructions for GPT-5, which is kind of good and bad, right? You want an agent that actually does stuff and doesn't make things up. And so what I like to do is like idea dump into Claude Opus. And then the prompt that I use, or the way that I prompt this, is I say, this is my idea for making the app, and help me iterate and work through this. And the next step I do after that, it's like once I kind of have a working plan for what I want to do, I say, you know, the goal is to see if I can now make this into a big markdown file as a project plan. And I want each section to be chunked out so that an engineer or an AI language model can take this and start implementing it, the features, task by task. And so I want each section to have verifiable steps so that when the task is completed, we can test it and kind of make sure that the feature is working correctly before moving on to the next task. So we're forcing the language model to kind of become sequential in nature. And this is going back to some just old standard software development practices, something that has been done forever. But basically, you'll have this idea of a sprint. And so you're kind of sprinting in like a prompt, right? So everything that would normally happen for software development land for 1 week, you're just compressing it to like one prompt, right? You're like, do all your work. And then after the sprint, you basically have some time where you're reviewing the code. And in essence, you don't necessarily have to review the code. You just have to make sure that, you know, you can launch the app, test the feature, and then kind of iterate on that before moving to the next set of things. And so what's really nice with Opus, because it has like a lot of intelligence, it tries to kind of infer what you're doing, but you can have this nice back and forth from it. And so once you have that nice big plan, you can hand that off to GPT-5 and say, can you work on the first phase? And so when you have it work on that first phase, you'll actually see the implementation happen, which is super awesome. And I actually have a video that's coming out tomorrow that actually kind of shows some of that. So that'll be launching at 8 a.m. But if you're currently a member, you can actually watch that video now. It's currently live for members only. And so, yeah, that's kind of like one of the prompting techniques I use for how I use one versus the other. And GPT-5 is also really nice if you're extremely descriptive in what you want to fix. So I can, like, for example, the webcam thing, we're going to walk through the code and figure out how we can add multiple cams, and I can show you how I'm going to use GPT-5 in low mode, right? I don't have to use a high mode. I could just use low. It's really, really good and really fast and super cheap, basically. And it's very powerful. That's kind of the way, the mental model that I'm thinking of. And that's kind of the way that I'm treating a lot of these AI agents for figuring out when to use them. And you're going to see me doing this live. And so this is something that I'm going to continue doing here on forward as well. So yeah, that's what's up. Oh yeah, Whisper as well. Yeah. Am I the only one that is hammering Codex? It's incredibly good. Dude, Codex is awesome. I'm like low key, I love this so much actually. So that's why I'm pretty excited to do this today. With the $200 plan saves a ton. Exactly. Yes. With the $200, basically it's infinite. And Tyler, by the way, like you can go back and forth from local to cloud without checking out like different branches and stuff. So that's a little bit different from background agents, because with Cursor, background agents, while you have access to Claude Sonnet and all the other models in the same type of environment, with Codex, if you're already pretty good with GPT-5, like you can go back and forth between local and cloud super fast. And so you can start handing off ideas on your phone and coming back to it. It's just like, it's actually really cool. And I'm actually pretty excited. But I want to make sure our different rules files are kind of set up as well for us to really take advantage of things. Yeah, I started using it for code review today, and it's doing a really good job bringing out a lot of stuff that I didn't catch in Claude. Yes. It's so cool. I get Codex right findings MD file to have a review here. I'm going to make sure that we can go ahead and proceed. Yes. So I think it's running as I've made changes to the Convex directory, adding a... Okay, cool. So now it's actually following its own rules, because we're actually talking about it writing its own, whenever it makes changes, which is what it did here. In my code, you can actually see it added a Claude.md file inside of my Convex folder. And because of that rule that's already in there from the main file, it's actually running this as a background task right now in Claude Code, which is super awesome. And it's just reading the shell output, which is awesome. So it's like, hey, I've completed all the tasks. Let me provide a summary of what I've created. This is actually really, really cool. The best part of the internet today is finding out about Convex AI rules. What? I've been so frustrated working with Convex this week. Oh, Lisa, I'm so sorry. I should have done a video explaining that. Actually, I might do a dedicated video for that. So thank you for reminding me. I always love everyone's feedback. Lisa's really great, by the way. If you haven't joined our community, she's in there kind of doing the thing, chilling, participating, and super duper excellent. I think a lot of software experience as well. A lot of cooking experience, vibe experience in general. So I'm going to make this video. So it's a video on Convex AI rules. Okay. Convex AI rules. So I'm trying something new where I put these little post-its. This is going to be weird. I'm going to take these with me to Hawaii on Monday so that we can kind of have these with me so that we can cook and stuff. But yeah, the post-its for me have been kind of like a physical way to kind of stay on this type of thing. So I started this in the background to monitor for any errors. Cool. That's awesome. Man, that's really cool. All right. So now I want to show you really quick what these rules look like when they've written them. So this cursor rules file is like pretty massive, right? For Convex rules, it's like almost 1,000 lines. And it's a little too much for some language models because I always want to run it for certain things. But for our specific repo, what Claude Opus did for us, it made a smaller version of it for us, 107 lines. So whenever files and changes are going into Convex here into this specific folder, it says this provides specific guidance for the Claude code when working in this directory. So always run this in the background when modifying files here. That is super cool. That is probably the best. And I've not seen this anywhere. We're like, this is literally why I do this. And this is why it's important to understand how to do some prompt authoring so that you can really guide these models to do to do things, if you know what I mean. So these are the key Convex rules from that file, right? And so it talks about that type of thing. And then what else does it talk about? Project specific examples. So these are the actual examples from our code, which is why we do that there. And then in components, it wrote a Claude.md file. So this says React components. So this file components a specific guidance for Claude code when working in here. So you see how it wrote a Claude.md file inside of that specific area. And it also talks about the specific casing, Shatsy and UI components, which is awesome. Project specific components like the webcam. And then with Convex, this is probably the most important part here. It's like, how do we talk to Convex and how do we get the real-time data, mutations, and handle the actions? Super great that it has these examples. This is why I love Claude Opus, because it's really, really good at understanding these things at a much deeper level and in more detail than I would normally do. And this is also talking about client components with Convex. So this is where we're actually going to do for our data stuff. So we're going to use query for these types of things and use mutations whenever we're like creating stuff on the other end side of the endpoint. And then this is about the real-time updates that we need to do for hooks and stuff. And so this is super great. And then what else did it do? Yeah, these are the main rules files. So what I would like to do now is just go ahead and check these changes in. I'm going to hit plus here to check these in. And so that way we have them as well. So man, we're cooking so hard. So we basically have some of the basic rules set up so far. I'm going to go ahead. Should I install this update and just crash my cursor? I think I'll install the update now. So we'll see. We'll let it do its thing. If I don't come back, I'm dead, bro. Yeah, so we'll see kind of how that goes. Okay, so huge shout outs to Blaster99 from South Africa. How's it going, man? That's so cool. So you have a component named component. I don't think so. It's a folder named component. Yes. Codex gave me an excuse to upgrade to $200 a month plan. Yeah, dude, they've definitely changed a lot of stuff, JK. I really like the latest cursor, the latest OpenAI update. Okay, so now that we have, so far what we've done quite a bit of things. So we have Claude Code like initiated and set up for our project. So within that, basically we've been able to get the rules set up. So whenever we're working with Claude Code, we now have our rules file set up. So all of our rules are set up whenever we're going to do some type of things in there. So which would make it super easy going forward. The next thing we want to go ahead and do is maybe set up our cursor rules as well. And so in order to do that, in the AI pane, you can do slash, and this is generate cursor rules. And so I want to give it some of the rules files that we talked about earlier, and because you can add additional descriptions. So I could say, I've already started some agentic rules, and you can reference the files named Claude.md. Okay. Throughout my project repo, as they describe how my repo is laid out and what I do for using Convex and working in my various directories. And I think I'm going to drag this one in here too. This Convex rules file is also very important when working with my backend and my front end. So you'll also need to review that as well. And so I have currently Sonnet in the max mode here with my agents. So I had the slash generate cursor rules. And so what cursor is going to do is going to basically read over our entire repo. And it's going to start to like make separate rules files for all the different concerns that we're doing. And those rules files are going to be so that when cursor agent starts walking through and doing its agentic work, whether we're using, Claude's model, it doesn't matter what model we're using in the dropdown. We could use the new Groq code model. It's going to be way, way more accurate when it's working through all these changes, and it's going to know when to reference certain rules files and when not. And so now it's basically it's doing the -p command, and it's like, oh, I already see a file there, and it's going to do its own thing. So we're going to watch it do that there. Wow. Okay. I need to head out soon because it's already 4:15. Dang. Oh man. Okay. Let's keep it going here. So I feel like I'm just getting started on this. This is so crazy. Thank you, Ray. I've been on vacation, but cooking on Discord again. Starting Tuesday. Oh man. Yeah. Missing you. I miss your energy. It'd be really cool to see you there. So I really appreciate that. I was hitting between 450 to 650 PM per month on Cursor. Bro, move to Claude Code. Yeah, Claude Code is great. I've not been able to hit the usage limit as of yet. On $200 a month, same here. But I haven't really been going super duper crazy with Claude Code because I'm kind of spreading out the love right now. And then we're going to get into Codex, and I'm going to show you a little bit of Codex. I think that's what I'll do before we head off the stream because I want to make sure that we get that going. But I think the most important things are like prompt authoring, right? How do you get AIs to talk, and how do you get them to start to automate some of these tasks? And so a lot of people don't talk about the multi-agent orchestration here. So we're setting up, we're basically playing with everyone's rules right now. Claude Code has a way of setting up rules, and you can kind of see that hierarchy that we did there. Each Claude.md files in these little different folders. Cursor has their own way, and Cursor actually has their own tool. That's that slash generate cursor rules, and that's what's going to do the types of rule generation. But we can give it additional context / instructions. That's what we did there. And you can actually see it now walking through the code. And so if we go through here, I'm going to show you on the top left. So on the top left right now, if I move my head, we can actually see the convex rules that it generated. I'm going to go ahead and close the Claude Code window for now. And so this is the convex rules file that we already have here, but there's convex-backend. And you can see that it defines this thing called globs. So the globs will say, with these specific directories, whenever the agent is walking through Convex and it sees the .ts or any subdirectories that are in there with .ts files, it's going to want to make sure that it does this specific rules. And so what's nice about it is that we don't always have to fill up our cursor rules files with all these specific types of things. Is that only when it's working in this directory will that pull it into its own context. And so this is an automated way that we're going to leverage Cursor's agents to basically get that extra intelligence that we need from these models. And the second thing it does, it generates more accuracy because it's going to be referencing these rules, but we're not going to cloud the context window during that agent run when it's working through that. So it's kind of cool. It's just self-adjusting, which is the power of that slash cursor rules. And we're seeing like, look at that. Claude Sonnet is still cooking with Cursor on that whole rules, and it's going through basically in this really nice sequential manner and making sure that we're going to be complete with this type of thing. So in here, in our development workflow, this is going to be called automatically all the time. And so in our development workflow for every prompt is going to show this it's similar to basically the Claude.md file. And so we're doing a couple of things here. Once, because we already started this with our Claude Code file, basically Claude Sonnet is now taking that file as inspiration and then, using Cursor's agent to basically do what it's doing here to generate this file here. And so this is going to run for every request. It's only 113 lines. It's pretty light. And then this one's going to apply intelligently here. So this is for the DripMeOut domain. This is specific patterns for I guess it's going to figure out when it needs to do it, but basically talks about what the app does, its generation status and everything like that. And this is the main thing that will always run as well for the project, kind of telling it more about that. And then here are some front end conventions that are going to talk about how we are doing our front end and how we're working with our server as well. And this is pretty important, especially for how it's writing out components. So it's really, really nice. We can just give it this file. We don't have to give it this file. It's going to automatically be referenced. Same here. So whenever it's working with TypeScript files and utilities, it's going to do these types of import patterns, which is what we are also referencing in our cursor rules for Convex. So super duper amazing. You can kind of see how we've done. So, I mean, we're so ready to cook. And these are really important to get down though. Once you get these down, the rest is going to be so fire from here. So I've created a comprehensive guide, right? So this is like this is actually explaining what's always applied. This is kind of some of the stuff we already went through for our utilities, for the DripMeOut, for the integration with existing rules, right? So your existing rules are preserved and referenced. And so rules referenced from your original MD using the file's file name, MDC syntax. So that's how they're going to be referenced. So Cursor has this concept of referencing other files and rules as well. And this is kind of how it does its little thing there in Markdown, which is really, really cool. And so the benefits are context aware. The rules apply automatically based on the types, which is great. So we don't have to tell it specific files. And then there's always going to be available. So there's just one rule similar to Claude.md where it's always going to be running in its context. So your Cursor AI now has a comprehensive knowledge for the DripMeOut project's patterns. Go ahead and keep these all, and I'm going to go ahead and check these in. And the last thing I'm going to try to do, because I should probably head out soon, is we're going to take a look at Codex as well. And I'm going to see if I can set that up with the /init. It should already have a lot of really rich data in here for us to work off of. So I'm going to go ahead and hit this little toggle AI pane off, and then we're going to switch cameras angles right now. And I'm going to move this over here. And so the way I activate that is up here in the dropdown, I'll have a Codex. And this Codex thing is available if you just go to the actual extensions. And from the extensions, you can download the GPT Codex. And then from there, you just basically will link up your ChatGPT account with it, and you'll be ready to cook. So here I'll have local setup and have /agents. And then I have the reasoning effort set to medium. I'm going to do that for now. I think it's just /init. And I'm going to go ahead and run. So basically, yeah, I think, right? Settings, personal account. I don't know. Let's see. Oh yeah. So now it's going to search our files and initialize the agents, I think. So I think, yeah. Cool. So now it's basic. Yeah. So this is basically doing what everything else has already done. And it should be able to read everything, hopefully, and understand what our project does so that we can go ahead and do something. So yeah, while that's doing that, let me just kind of catch up on the comments as well. So if you're interested in checking out the Discord, by the way, I have that available. So you can do https://r/fer.me/discord. And so that will basically allow you to get into the Discord. Right now, it's basically, $14.99 a month for our first, 200 members. The first 100 members got in, you guys got in a special price, and we're basically doubling it every 100. So once we reach that 200 level, it's going to go up to $29.99 a month. And so forth. And it's going to kind of keep going there because, this is a really cool, nice private community for us to kind of hang out, do some coding and share some knowledge and connect with others who are kind of in the same space here. And because you're some of my first members, I really definitely appreciate that, which is really fire for y'all. So I may have missed, but somehow come we're using both Claude Code and Cursor agent. Yes, Spencer. So there's a couple of reasons why we're doing this is because Cursor has the ability to use like free models from time to time. And so whenever they drop some free models, like I'm all about using them, but also you need to have the right rules files and stuff set up. So inside of Cursor, basically what you do is, in the agent itself, the dropdown, the free model that we have right now that's available is the Groq for Code Fast. So this is free until September 10th. So until September 10th, bro, you can just use this all you want. But you got to make sure you have the right rules file set up. Or otherwise, it'll start doing really crazy stuff, which is kind of what we don't want to do. So that's that there. And so I think our agent is almost done setting up its rules. And then I think it's having the same problem that we had earlier with it referencing bun. And so here's a quick installation summary. And I think I want to tell it about that we're using bun. So I want you to reference and then Claude. So I'm going to reference the different Claude.md files at Claude, like components, app at Claude. Okay, Claude Convex, I think. Okay, and I'm using bunx, bun and bunx, not npm. Please update your files accordingly. Okay. I also have rules set up in .cursor. Can I give it the cursor rules? .cursor rules? No, it doesn't find it. Okay. That should be fine. All right, let's go. Just curious to see what it does. Awesome. Helpful. Thanks, mate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, there are so many free models and stuff that get dropped like from time to time. For GPT-5, that was free for a while too. So like, but people were trying to figure out how to prompt with it, and that's another thing. It's like, but once you have these rules set up, I mean, you're pretty much good. I mean, they're pretty much compatible in all these different ways. So while that's going, I so badly want to start writing code right now. So well, maybe we'll do that because I know I'm supposed to leave. My friends are just going to be yelling at me, but whatever. Y'all are worth it. Y'all are worth it right now. Okay. I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to page. Okay. So what I want to quickly walk through while Codex is doing its thing is I want to show you really quick. Yeah. Codex is just going to keep updating our code, and it's going to be kind of doing that thing in the background there. And what I want to do is kind of walk you through a little bit of like what I was thinking for the webcam fix, because right now the webcam only allows me to select one camera and it doesn't allow me to select multiple cameras, or not multiple, sorry. It doesn't allow me to select the camera. That's the problem. So whenever we're going to the localhost 3000, let me just do this. Okay. It's not running the server, of course. Let me run it. Bun dev. Okay, cool. Let's go back, refresh. And so when we're running it here, we have our gold chain, we have our chain and stuff. Whenever I start my camera, what ends up happening is that I can't select this camera that I'm looking at with you here. Or I can't like this one's the only one that's selected by default, but I also have like my, FaceTime HD camera. I also have, like this camera, and I have like another one up here, my phone. So a lot of times I know most people won't have that problem, but I think that's a really good thing that we can fix here. And so what we can do is maybe try out the new Groq code fast model using the latest cursor rules and see kind of what it does, right? So I can just kind of describe the problem. So normally what I would do is just try to look up and see, what is it like in the code that it's happening. So I'm going to walk you through the code because I kind of want to also understand like what's been happening here. So one of the things I want to do is like look up webcam, and I want to see like where is the actual webcam code and how it decides where to fix it. So it just in search itself. I see this like readme, this is DripMeOut, this is like import webcam. So components webcam is kind of where we're dealing that with there. So I've hit option, I hit click, and it takes me into the actual folder of where this is at. So I see in the components webcam, this is kind of what we're dealing with. And so the trick that I was showing you earlier is how do you see the different functions for what they are? So like once we kind of go in a couple levels, we can see the different functions, this const camera, use callback and stuff. And so if I highlight my mouse here, you'll see this little arrow and you hit the option key and then you hit this little thing. And basically you'll just compress the functions down to their core things so that you don't see the rest of the code. That's very handy, especially if you want to scroll through code super quickly and just see what does the webcam do for me, right? So when I go into webcam and I'm doing stuff, I can start my camera, I can stop my camera, I can capture a photo, I can retake a photo, and then I have a use effect here for stopping the camera to detect something, right? So it's like, okay, let's see what's going on in start camera. I think it's just really important for us to walk through the code a little bit to understand what we're doing. So that way, when we prompt it, we can give it specific instructions on what we want to do. That way, we're not always relying on the agent, but it's always good to think through your architecture. Then it'll also help you in the future anyways when you're going to update code. And so what's happening here is like, I don't know TypeScript, by the way. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, I come from the client side. I could tell you like how stuff works like on a device, but like web development stuff is completely new to me. But the concept of like software engineering, stepping through code, things in modular pieces, you'll learn this by doing. And this is what I learned by doing. So I'm just trying to transfer this information to you. So hopefully you can pick this up and like, don't be scared about anything. Now that we have AI, you're going to kind of see me walk through this process and how we think through the code. All right. So we have this concept of starting a camera, and what it's doing is in order for it to get a stream, it uses get user media. And there's no information about, what specific camera and what other parameters we should be doing. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. I'm going to say, all right, so in the agent here, we're just going to select Groq with a K, code fast, and I'm going to use the max model. And then what I'm going to go ahead and do here is just going to go ahead and say, let's see, in webcam, let's see, when I start camera, basically kind of thinking with code, it only selects the default camera, but I have multiple cameras set up and I want to be able to select a different camera for my computer. And then what the other thing is, because this is a component in the UI, yeah, I think this is it. I think that's all we need, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit enter. And so we're going to actually see Cursor use the new rules that we generated for ourselves in our own project. And it's going to read through this webcam file. Damn, it's fast. Holy smokes. Bro. Damn, Groq code is fast. Holy bro. Oh, did y'all see that? We're done, bro. Wow. Oh my goodness. Whoa, this thing is crazy fast. Damn. Yo, Cursor, I knew you were fast, but I didn't know you're that fast with... Oh my goodness. Oh, what? What? We're done. Bro, what just happened? Bro, like that. Oh, bro, Groq code fast is fast AF. I'm gonna have to tell my friends, like, I can't do dinner tonight. I'm gonna be coding all night, bro. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Oh, let's go. Okay. We're running. We should have the app live. All right, let me refresh this. Allow. Okay, allow, yeah. Let's go. So now we have like a start camera settings. Ooh, sick. So I can select like the FaceTime HD camera, start camera. Oh, that's so cool. Let's do this. Let's get a chain on this. So what's nice is we're actually going to use like the actual code that's actually live on my local host right now. Look at that. Oh, what? Look at that chain. That's a fire chain. Bro, this is crazy. Like, did you see how fast we implemented that feature? Bro, that's insane. Okay, man. Okay, can I vibe code a real fast feature right now? We're going to do this. I'm going to say, I want to send a link to my friends so I can share this image, right? So that's what I'm going to do. This was crazy fast. I'm going to go ahead and keep all these changes. That's such a vibe right now. So I'm going to go ahead and check this in too. I got to check in this. This is so ridiculous. Yeah, I'm going to sync this change. Wow. I'm going to create a new one. This Groq code fast is free and we just ship something super ridiculously fast. And so I'm just going to punch out this feature real quick. I'm going to say, I want to be able to take an image that's generated and share it with my friends. Right now, I can only see the images in the gallery, but I'm not able to click one and share it. And so let's just see how fast I can build a feature right now. Let's go. I feel very comfortable right now because I have all the different rules files that we generated and it has a lot of context already. Dang. So let's see, add a share button overlay for the image preview, implement image sharing functionality, clipboard, copy paste web share UI, add social media share buttons, add a success note toast. It's going through. No errors. Oh, please. Is it already done? Is it done already? No way. Look at how fast it generated the code. Bruh. Oh my goodness. No way. Are we done with the feature already? This is dangerous. This is dangerous. This is so dangerous. Let's go allow. Camera settings. I got the HD camera. Wait, can I capture photo? My friends are already here. I got to go. But dang, I want to see this. I want to see this feature. If we already shipped this feature, I swear to God, my friends, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I can't. Okay. I don't know where to get this actual thing. Your app is now with the front end service. Try generating an image and hover over it to see the sharing options in action. Okay. I don't see the image. Okay. I hovered over it and I don't see it. Okay. I'm going to say that. I hovered over the image, but I don't see the actual thing to see the, yeah, I don't see it, but I don't see it. Right? I want to be able to click it and then take an action or something. Okay, let's see. This is crazy fast, by the way. This is insanely fast. So it's going to create a share module, replace hover sharing with click-based model, add a close button to close the model. I like this. I like this plan. I can't believe how fast this thing is, though. Holy guacamole. Oh my goodness. LOL, podcast over. Groq Code is like GPT-4o. You add features you didn't ask for, add a nervous smile. Yeah, let's see. I mean, that's what we're kind of doing with right now. It's so fast that you can just throw away the code. That's the other thing too, right? Like you can mess up, say no, and then try again. Absolutely crazy. I can't believe this right now. I can't. This thing is redonkulous. Pending processing. Okay. Like if I had better specs, that's the other thing too. See, like if I had better specs for this, I think this would actually ship even better and like would even one-shot it. Like I could probably have talked to Claude Opus and say, can you just give me some quick specs for this? But it's so fast that I can just kind of throw away the code and try again over and over, like 3 times by the time I even get one. Oh, it's running at 3001. Oh, that's probably my problem. Let's see. Allow. Is it? Refresh. Allow. Okay. Yeah, I don't see a way that I can do this, but I want to ship this. I want to go play. Okay. Smart features are on. New click-based. Click on any completed image in your gallery, not just hover. It should work. Okay, what I'm going to go ahead and do is just kill the server real quick and then run this right here. Let's see this. Okay. So where my head is at, what I'm going to go ahead and do is put myself down here. And I'm just going to do bun-x convex dev to run that. I'm going to kill this thing. Oh, Cursor has these running here. I'm going to kill those as well. And then bun dev to run this, just to restart everything. So we should be running on localhost 3000. Let's go and see if we can get drippy, my friends. I'm going to hit allow. All right. So do I see it? No. Okay. Yeah. When I click the images, it doesn't do anything. Okay. So there's clearly some bugs here. It looks like it wrote a bunch of code. I'm pretty sure it's something really ridiculously simple, but I really do have to go. My guests are already here. And I just wanted to let you know, like, if you want to join the Discord, go ahead and check that out. I have the links below, rfer.me/discord to go ahead and join in before. Actually, it's probably one of the pinned comments here. And go ahead and do that. If you're interested in checking out the prompt authoring workshop, it's probably something I'm going to try to run next week. I landed in Hawaii next week, so I might do something on the weekend. I'm going to start off with my Discord folks first. So everyone who's in the Discord, I'm going to make an announcement. We're going to do some prompt authoring. If you need help with like trying to figure out how to get your prompting going, how to generate these like mega prompts the way that I do, or how to think through some problems, just, join in the Discord. I'm going to have a session where we're just going to sit down. You tell me your problem. We'll kind of work through it together. I'll walk you through all the different things you need to do in Claude Code. in Claude itself, like some of the other tools that I use to generate the prompts, whether it's Opus or even the console and some of the other toolings you'll need. And then how to kind of get that started for you to kind of generate this cool stuff. I mean, I've been able to take transcripts from my live stream and I literally have it generate timestamps, newsletter posts, even like writing really good hooks and stuff like that. That's currently in my little repo. So you'll get a little peek in terms of how I generate these different rules files that are very comprehensive, but also succinct, right? There's a lot of these little nuances, and I'm just going to be sharing exactly what I've been learning for the last couple of years playing with that AI. And, I used to be an engineer at Apple for almost 13 years. And now basically I'm vibe coding with you live and showing you a little bit of how I think through these different processes. And so, yeah, the next live stream that I'm going to go ahead and do is probably going to be from Hawaii. I got to pack up my equipment tonight, so get everything going. And from there, I'll probably stream on Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday the 2nd. And so from there, we're going to be like live. I'm going to be probably continuing this app, adding some more features and so forth. And I'll have all this stuff in the description below so that we can kind of get cooking with it. So everyone, thank you so much for joining on the stream. Y'all are the real MVPs right now. I really appreciate this because y'all I've been like supporting all over. And, if you haven't had a chance to subscribe, make sure you hit that subscribe button and I'll see y'all soon. Peace out, y'all.